Letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, please. Dear distinguished Senate President, Concurrence of the National Park Declaration Order 2022. Pursuant to Section 18 of the National Park Service Act, I forward here with the National Park Declaration Order 2022 for the current concurrence of the Senate. The National Park Declaration Order 2022 seeks to establish 10 new national parks. Please find attached the National Park Declaration Order. While I hope that the request will receive the usual consideration of the Senate, please accept, Single Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, petition of the National Library Establishment Bill 2022 to the National Assembly for consideration. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 2 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I forward herewith the National Library Establishment Bill 2022 for the current consideration of the Senate. The National Library Establishment Bill 2022 aims to establish and maintain the National Library of Nigeria, strengthen its statutory functions. While I hope that the request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate, please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, transmission of the National Social Investment Program Establishment Bill for consideration. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 2 of the Constitution of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I forward here with the National Social Investment Program Establishment Bill for the current consideration of the Senate. The National Social Investment Program Establishment Bill seeks to provide a legal and institutional framework for the establishment of National Social Investment Program for the assistance and empowerment of the poor and vulnerable in Nigeria. While I hope that the request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate, please accept the single Senate President the assurance of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, transmission of the Federal Produce Inspection Service Bill for consideration. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 2 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I forward here with the Federal Produce Inspection Service Bill for the current consideration of the Senate. The Federal Produce Inspection Service Bill seeks to provide for the inspection and enforcement of grades and quality standards of produce and commodities intended for import into or export from Nigeria at ports of shipment and for related matters. While I hope that the request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate, please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Petitions. Very distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akinye-Lure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, colleagues, presentation of petition not laid but referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41 and 3, which to present to the Senate some petitions yet to be laid from the office of the President of the Senate. In order to officially place the petition in the public domain through the floor of the Senate, and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Distinguished colleague, please find below a summary of petition received from the office of the President of the Senate for ease of reference. 1. Petition from Azande Emmanuel against Engineer Michael Ayuba Auta of KYC Holdings Limited. Appeal for an urgent arrest and prosecution of Engineer Michael Ayuba of KYC Holdings Limited. 2. Petition from Dr. Sam Osuji against CP Henry Njoku and others. Report of assault on worshippers, robbery and malicious damage to place of worship by CP Henry Njoku and others. 3. Petition from Dr. Apostle Uba, Chidi Ebere and A.M. Udeze on behalf of Pastor Onebune Okechukwu Sunday against Ikechukwu Shukubu and others. In case of fundamental right violation against a poor widower, criminal conspiracy, stealing by tricks, assault, threat to life, and conduct likely to breach the peace. A safe our soul petition. 4. Petition from Onimisi Joseph Ojo against the Controller General of Federal Road Safety Commission. Letter of appeal for restatement on compassionate ground. And finally, Mr. President, petition from Joe Adia against the Honorable Minister and the Managing Director of NDDC. Letter of complaints or notification of non-payment of contractors. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitioner is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the above petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
Well, since apparently there is no petitioner seeking any judicial remedy, you may lay the petitions, please. Thank you. The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the regulation of ecological project establishment bill 2022 HB 739. Mr. President, may I wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Regulation of Ecological Project Establishment Bill 2022 HB 739, first reading.
Regulation of Ecological Project Establishment Bill 2022 HB 739, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is also the presentation of a House bill standing on my name on the Chartered Institute of Emergency, Crisis, and Disaster Risk Management, Establishment Bill 2022 HB 1707. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Emergency, Crisis, and Disaster Risk Management Establishment Bill 2022 HB 1707, first reading.
Chartered Institute of Emergency, Crisis, and Disaster Risk Management Establishment Bill 2022 HB 1707, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Adeola Solomon Olamilekong on the Currency Conversion Prison Order Act C-43 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2022 SB 936. Mr. President, may I wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Currency Conversion Freezing Order Act, Cap C-43, LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2022, HB 936, first reading.
Currency Conversion Freezing Order Act C-43 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill SB 936, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The first order of the day, or business of the day, is the presentation of bill standing in the name of Senator Kalu Oji Uzo on the National Agricultural Improvement Board, Establishment Bill 2022, SB 1020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Agricultural Improvement Board Establishment Bill 2022, SB 1020, first reading.
National Agricultural Improvement Board Establishment Bill 2022 SB 1020, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The first business of the day is the presentation of a bill in the name of Senator Basi Gasham Henry on the National Food Bank Reserve Agency, Establishment Bill 2022, SB 1077. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Food Bank Reserve Agency Establishment Bill 2022, SB 1077, first reading.
National Food Bank Reserve Agency Establishment Bill 2022 SB 1077, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The first order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the executive communication from Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief on the 2021 and 2022 budget estimates of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. In accordance with Section 18, subsection 1 of the Niger Delta Development Commission Act, distinguished senators will recall that the request from Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, on the 2021 and 2022 budget estimate of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, was read on Wednesday, 23rd November 2022. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that the request be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the request of Mr. President be referred to the appropriate committee. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support of the motion that the request of Mr. President C be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President C is referred to the Committee on Niger Delta to report back within 4 weeks. 2 weeks, sorry. 2 weeks. Chairman, acting chairman. 2 weeks, or you need more? Okay. Okay, 3 weeks. To report back within 3 weeks. Just do a thorough job, that's all. 3 weeks. Yeah. Secretary, took note. Leader of the Senate.
The second order of the day is a motion standing on my name on the executive communication from Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief on the 2023 budget estimates of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in accordance with Section 18, subsection 1 of the Niger Delta Development Commission Act. Distinguished senators will recall that the request from Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief on the 2023 budget estimates of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, was read on Wednesday, 23rd November, 2022. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that the request be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I so move.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the request of Mr. President be referred to the appropriate committee for legislative action. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the 2023 budget estimates of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, be referred to the relevant committee, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President, CNC, on the 2023 budget estimates of the Niger Delta Development Commission is referred to the Committee on Niger Delta. How many weeks do you need? 3 weeks. Okay, to report back within 3 weeks. Or maybe we should give you 4. 4 is more. Okay, 4 weeks. Secretary, take note. 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
The third order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the recommittal of the following bills to the Committee of the Whole. School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko, Edo Local Government, Establishment Bill 2022, and the Chartered Institute of Foresters of Nigerian Bill 2022. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move the motion.
You may proceed, Leader.
The Senate recalls that the following bills were passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives and were transmitted to the Clerk of the National Assembly for onward transmission to the President Commander-in-Chief for assent. The bills are School of Mines and Geological Studies of Kokoado, Establishment Bill 2022, and Chartered Institute of Foresters of Nigeria Bill 2022, and observes that some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action by both chambers of the National Assembly emerged after a critical analysis of the bills by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. Aware that a technical committee of the Senate and the House of Representatives and Directorate of Legal Services met and worked on the bills. Relying on Order 1, subsection B, and Order 52, subsection 6 of the Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended, accordingly resolves to resign the decision on the bills as passed and recommit same to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration and passage. I so move.
Any comments? Second, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that these bills be now recommitted to the Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we start with School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko, Ado. I hope we all have the copies of the report. All right, thank you. Those in favor that clause 1, clause 2, establishment of the governing council, clause 3, membership of the council of the school, clause 4, clause 5, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 6 is on page 3. Powers of the council. Those in favor that clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, the academic board and its functions, clause 9, clause 10, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 11 on page 6, deputy rector. Those in favor of clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, and clause 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 16 is on page 10. Selection board for other principal officers. Those who vote at clause 16, clause 17, pension, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 21, annual report on page 11. Those who vote at clause 21, clause 22, and clause 23, discipline of staff and students, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those who vote at the interpretation on page 13, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those who vote at the short title, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedule on page 14, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. The second report, Chartered Institute of Foresters of Nigeria Bill. Those in favor of clause 1, clause 2, functions of the institute, clause 3, powers of the institute, clause 4, clause 5, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 6, tenure of office on page 3. Those in favor of that clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 11, power to invest on page 5. Those in favor of clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, and clause 15, register of members on page 6, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 16, eligibility of members as fellows on page 8. Those in favor of clause 16, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 21, registration of members on page 10. Those in favor of clause 21, clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, tribunal, clause 25, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clause 26 on page 13, clause 27, penalties for unprofessional conduct, clause 28 and clause 29, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 16, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title on page 18, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedules, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, plenary.
I move that we revert, the chair revert to plenary to report progress. I so move.
I rise to second the motion that the chair reverts to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the School of Mines and Geological Studies Akoko Ado Establishment Bill Akoko. What is written here is ADO. Or it's supposed to be EDO. I was not wrong after all. But I'll correct it now. Secretariat is Akoko Edo. It's E, not A. Okay. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the School of Mines and Geological Studies Akoko Edo Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 23 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedule as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole also considered the Chartered Institute of Foresters of Nigeria Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 29 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedules 1, 2, and 3 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the two bills now be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that these two bills be now read a third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that these two bills be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko Edo Establishment Bill and for related matters, 2022, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Foresters of Nigeria and for related matters, 2022, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the School of Mines and Geological Studies in Akoko Edo local government area and for related matters, 2022, third reading taken, and this bill is passed. Also, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Foresters of Nigeria and for related matters 2022 through third reading taken. And this bill is also passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report on the Committee on Foreign Affairs on the screening of Dr. Suleiman Aga Apiko for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone on the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 27th July 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Volkachua Adamu Mohammed, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Adamu Volkachua, where is he? Oh. Who allocated that seat to you, sir? Chief Whip, did you give him the seat? No, I'm talking about Chief Whip, not minority. Chief Whip, no, you're not Chief Whip. You are minority whip, only is in the absence of the Chief Whip. Yes. No, he will suggest to you. But is that the appropriate? I think you should be at the front. Thank you very much. Senator Muhammad Adamu Volkachua, present your report. No, it's too early. It's too early. It's too early to judge.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Adamu Mohammed Volkachua, representing Bauchi North Senatorial District. And I move that the Senate do receive and consider a report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on the confirmation of the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone of the National Hajj Commission. I so move, sir.
I need a seconder. Distinguished Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru, Osun Central Senatorial District. I reluctantly second the, I reluctantly because...
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I reluctantly second the, yes, reluctantly. Why are you harassing me? I'm protected by the Senate President. The reluctance is because I had expected. Who ought to be on this side, but is on that side reluctantly. Thank you very much.
You know, Senator Ajibola Basiru, thank you very much for seconding the motion. Whether reluctantly or not, I think you did a very good job. Well, distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on the confirmation of the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, you lay the report, please. No, that you know, you simply confuse our statesman, because that's the beginning. And it could be the end, you know. You could still cross over. It doesn't look like that side. So you present the report, Chairman, please.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Adamu Mohammed Bulkachua, representing Bauchi North Senatorial District and Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and wish to present the report on the screening of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I will not belabor the distinguished chamber by reading through, but I will go to the introduction and the findings and recommendations, or other conclusions. The Senate, at its sitting on Wednesday, 27th July 2022, considered the request of Mr. President of the Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for confirmation of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACO. The request was referred to the assignment to the committee in accordance with its rules, SR 118 to 130, by a letter from the Clerk of the Senate, reference NAS stroke 9S stroke R stroke 03 stroke 902, dated 20th September 2022, for further legislative action. Maybe the chamber may be interested in the committee's methodology for the screening. If not, then we should go straight to findings. At the end of the screening exercise of the nominee, the committee's findings are as follows. 1, that his nomination is to fill the position for representing the Southeast of the nation at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACO. 2, that the committee did not receive any petition against his nomination as commissioner representing the Southeast at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACO. That the nominee has been cleared by the security agencies, that is the DSS, the Nigeria Police, and the nominee has presented his code of conduct acknowledgement slip. Number 5, that the nominee possesses the requisite academic qualifications as well as wide-ranging experiences to the commission to be commissioner at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACO. Number 6, that the nominee was very articulate and meticulous in his response to questions directed at him by the committee. Number 7, recommendations. The committee has carefully and thoroughly screened the nominee, and it is satisfied with his qualification, exposure, conduct, character, experience, and general performance. The nominee has displayed wide and in-depth knowledge of Hajj activities and operations. Therefore, the committee recommends that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Akfipo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACO. We so move. Conclusion. The committee hereby expresses its gratitude to the leadership of the Senate and the distinguished senators for giving it the opportunity to serve in this capacity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any comments? Okay, Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole, please.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we are doing approval at this stage. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, Plenary.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the chair revert to plenary and then report progress. So moved.
I rise to second the motion that the chair reverts to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverts to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Minority, not minority. Chief Whip, please give Senator Betty an appropriate seat on that side. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on the screening of Mr. President's nominee for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission and approved the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo? Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo for appointment as Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Suleiman Aga Afikpo is hereby confirmed as a Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone in the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. Congratulations to him. Leader of the Senate.
The fifth to the 10th order of the day are House bills for concurrence as listed on the order paper. Distinguished senators will recall that the bills were read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 13th April 2022, Wednesday, 30th March 2022, Tuesday, 4th May 2022, and Wednesday, 13th April 2022, respectively. The President, Mr. President, for the simple nature of the bills and the inter-chamber reciprocity, will use a single lead debate on the bills. Okay, where is the lead debate? Okay. Where is the lead debate?
Minority Whip. Please, the chamber is a bit noisy. I think they can only hear you when you sit where you are. Minority Whip. Okay, Leader of the Senate, continue, please.
Mr. President, for the simple nature of the bills and the inter-chamber reciprocity, will use a single lead debate on the bills. Lead debate on the bills for concurrence from the House of Representatives. Admiralty University, Ibusa Establishment Bill 2022, 1339. Federal Medical Center Fufu Establishment Bill 2022, HB 530. Veterinary Surgeons Establishment Bill 2022, HB 70. Federal University of Sports, Apuze, Edo State Establishment Bill 2022, HB 628. Satellite Town Development Agency Establishment Bill 2022, HB 43, and the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences Ondo State Bill 2022, HB 1770. Admiralty University of Nigeria, Ebusi, Establishment Bill 2022, HB 1339 was read the first.
Distinguished colleagues, the chamber is a bit noisy, please. Minority Whip, please take your seat, please. Deputy Leader, please take your seat, please. Okay, continue, Leader.
Adjournment University Ebusa Establishment Bill 2022 HB 1339 was read the first time on Wednesday, 13th April 2022. This bill seeks to establish the Adjournment University of Nigeria, Ebusa, as a conventional university with approved programs and the forecast facilities to ensure equity and access to tertiary education in Nigeria. Federal Medical Center Fufu Establishment Bill 2022, HB 530, was read the first time on Wednesday, 13th April 2022. The bill seeks to provide for the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center Fufu to provide for the management, operations, remunerations, and discipline of staff, in addition to other matters provided for smooth running of the hospital. Veterinary Surgeons Establishment Bill 2022, HB 70, was read the first time on Wednesday, 4th May 2021. This bill seeks to establish the Veterinary Council of Nigeria, which shall be a body corporate and perpetual succession and a common seal with the responsibility of registering and regulating veterinary practice and the veterinary practicing premises. Federal University of Sports, Apuse, Edo State Establishment Bill 2022 HB 628 was read the first time on Wednesday, 13th April 2022. This bill seeks to upgrade Michael Imudu College of Physical and Health Education, Apuse, Edo State, to Federal University of Sports, Apuse, Edo State, to make comprehensive provision for the management and administration. Satellite Town Development Agency Establishment Bill 2022 HB 43 was read the first time on Tuesday, 27 September 2022. This bill seeks to establish the Satellite Towns Development Agency for providing, maintaining, regulating, and operating public infrastructure, economic and strategic development plans, and ancillary purposes for the Federal Capital Territory. The Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences Ondo State Bill 2022 HB 1770 was read the first time on Tuesday, 4th May 2021. This bill seeks to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences Ondo State for the training and the research in the field of medical and health sciences in Nigeria. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, these are straightforward and are not controversial, and have gone through the necessary legislative processes in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of these bills as we refer them to the Committee of the Whole for close-by-close consideration. I so move. Thank you.
Minority Leader. Sorry. Any comments, please? Any comments? Okay, move for Committee of the Whole, please.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues,
Second reading. Please, let. Any comments? Yes, distinguished Senator Yaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Venus Yaro Adama South. While I agree with the leader that all these bills are straightforward bills and should be supported, I'm just wondering why some of the bills that we pass here and have been forwarded to the House of Reps are still in the works there. For instance, there's a bill that we passed in this chamber in December last year, and it was forwarded to the House of Representatives. Up to date, that bill has not been considered. So I'm just wondering how this relationship works. Thank you.
Well, I think we always try to engage with our colleagues in the House to also carry out concurrence on the bills from the Senate. And this is a continuous engagement. So we'll continue to talk with the leadership of the House to also look into those bills that emanated from the House. Yes, Senator Obinna Ogba.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Obinna Ogba, Joseph. I represent Ebonyi Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to mention that I'm surprised to see this bill for concurrence, the University of Sports. Mr. President can recall that the bill of University of Sports, Ebonyi State was passed by this Hello Chambers since last year. I don't have the exact date myself, and it was forwarded to House of Reps for concurrence. But since then, it has not come back to these chambers. I am surprised to see another one coming from the House of Reps to this place now for concurrence. So I think that there's need. Since we sent to them first, they could have attended to our own. Then if there's another bill coming up, then that one be followed. But now, our own that has gone there for a very long time, no reaction, nothing to that. And I have personally met them on this matter. Even the Minister of Sports himself went to the National and went to the House of Reps to plead with them on this bill. Only for me now to start seeing their own coming here for concurrence. Mr. President, I felt it is it's not, it means the working relationship between us and them is no longer down. So I am moving that we have to step this one down for the leadership to look into it and find a better way to resolve it, Mr. President.
Okay, two things here. First of all, because any of us here sponsors a bill, it doesn't mean another a member of the House cannot sponsor a similar bill. It doesn't stop that. But I also agree with you that there should have been concurrence on that bill since it has been there for a long time. So because of that, I think we will step down the consideration of this particular bill for further legislative engagement between the two chambers. So, Leader, we stand down the consideration of this particular one, and then we do for the remaining 5. You can do that.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that we stand down this bill to establish Plenary University of Sports in our pussy.
Please. It will not be nice to start just standing down everything. This one I can understand. No, please. No, please. Let's not degenerate this thing into refusing to concur. At least we'll engage the leadership on the sports university. I can recall, but the other ones, please, let's work on them. Okay, Minority Leader, please second.
Yeah, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we stand down consideration of the University of Sports of Fuse, Edo State to another legislative day pending discussions with the both leaderships. So,
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, please you talk with your counterpart on this, because normally the office of the leader handles this kind of thing. When so you talk to them, they should concur on with our bills, please, including the Nkalagu. Is it Nkalagu? Aha. All right. So any comments? These bills are referred to the committee of the whole. Any? Those in favor that these bills be now read for the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, committee of the whole.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues,
Clerk of the Senate will take the second reading, please.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Admiralty University of Nigeria, Ibusa, as conventional university with selected programs, limited and focused faculties to promote scholarship, research, and other means of advancement of knowledge and its practical application to military hardware and software, as well as maritime arts, sciences, and technologies, and provide an opportunity of acquiring a higher and liberal education in Nigeria, and for related matters 2022, HB 1339, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center, Fufu, Kwara State, to provide for the manner of running the hospital, including establishment of board of management, chief medical director, and other staff, and to provide for discipline of staff, and for related matters 2022, SB 530, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Veterinary Surgeons Act, CAV3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and then enact the Veterinary Surgeons Bill, and for related matters 2022, HB 70, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Satellite Towns Development Agency for providing, maintaining, regulating, and operation of public infrastructure, economic and strategic development plans, and ancillary for the Federal Capital Territory, and for related matters 2022, HB 43, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Ondo State, for training and research in the field of medical and health sciences in Nigeria, and for related matters 2022, HB 1770, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Admiralty University of Nigeria, Ibusa, as conventional university with selected programs, limited and focused faculties to promote scholarship, research, and other means of advancement of knowledge, and its practical application to military hardware and software, as well as maritime, arts, sciences, and technologies, and provide an opportunity of acquiring a higher and liberal education in Nigeria, and for related matters 2022, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the committee of the whole. A bill for an act to provide the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center, Fufu, Kwara State, to provide for the manner of running the hospital, including establishment of board of management, chief medical director, and other staff, and to provide for discipline of staff, and for related matters 2022, second reading taken. The bill is also referred to the committee of the whole. A bill for an act to repeal the Veterinary Surgeons Act, CAV3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Veterinary Surgeons Bill, and for related matters 2022, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the committee of the whole. A bill for an act to establish the Satellite Towns Development Agency for providing, maintaining, regulating, and operation public infrastructure, economic and strategic development plans, and ancillary for the Federal Capital Territory and for related matters 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole. A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Ondo State, for training and research in the field of medical and health sciences in Nigeria and for related matters 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is also referred to the Committee of the Whole. Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the bills be referred to the Committee of the Whole.
We resolve into Committee of the Whole. Leader, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider these reports. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the reports, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we start with Admiralty University of Nigeria, Ibusa. Those in favor that clause 1 to 5 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause clause 6 to 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11 is on page 8. Powers of the Council. Those in favor that clause 11 to 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 16 is on page 14. Those who are at clause 16 to 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 21, procedure for staff discipline, on page 18. Those in favor of clause 21 to 25 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 26, annual report, on page 21. Those in favor of clause 26 to 30 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 31 is on page 24. Those in favor of clause 31 to 37 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 26 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title on page 29 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedules 1, 2, and 3 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 44 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Second report, Federal Medical Center, Fufu. Those in favor of clause 1 to 5 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of clause 6 to 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11, service in the medical center to be pensionable, on page 6. Those who are at clause 11 to 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 16, annual estimate and expenditure, on page 8. Those in favor of clause 16 to 20, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 21, discipline of students on page 9. Those in favor of clause 21 to 26, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 13, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedule stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 15 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The third report, veterinary surgeons establishment bill. Wow. Those who are at clause 1 to 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 6 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 11 on page 13, supervision of instruction. Those who are at clause 11 to 15 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 16 on page 19. Those who are at clause 16 to 20 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the interpretation on page 24 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the short title on page 28 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the scheduled stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the long title stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Satellite Town Development Agency Establishment Bill. Those in favor at clause 1 to 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 6 on page 5. Those who are at clause 6 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 11, directives by the minister on page 8. Those who are at clause 11 to 20, not to 15, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 16 to 20, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 21, stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the interpretation on page 11 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the schedule stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Last but not the least, Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Ondo State. Those who are at clause 1 to 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 6 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 11 on page 8, clause 11 to 15 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 16 on page 10 to 20 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 21 to 27 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause the interpretation on page 17 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title on page 18 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedules 1 and 2 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 31 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, plenary.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the chair revert to plenary to report progress.
I rise to second the motion that the Senate revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. I so second.
Those in favor that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the Admiralty University of Nigeria Ibusa Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 137 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedules 1, 2, and 3 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate and the Committee of the Whole also considered the Federal Medical Center Fufu Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 26 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedule as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate and the Committee of the Whole also considered the Veterinary Surgeons Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 20 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedules as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate and the Committee of the Whole also considered the Satellite Town Development Agency Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 21 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedule as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate and the Committee of the Whole also considered the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences Ondo State Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 27 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedules as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that
Higher and Liberal Education in Nigeria and for related matters 2022, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide a legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center for Kwara State, to provide for the manner of running the hospital, including establishment of board of management, chief medical director, and other staff, and to provide for discipline of student staff, and for related matters 2022, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Veterinary Surgeons Act, CAV3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Veterinary Surgeons Bill, and for related matters 2022, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Satellite Towns Development Agency for providing, maintaining, regulating, and operation of public infrastructure, economic and strategic development plans, and ancillary for the Federal Capital Territory and for related matters 2022, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Ondo State, for training and research in the field of medical and health sciences in Nigeria and for related matters 2022, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Admiralty University of Nigeria, IBUSA, as conventional university with selected programs, limited and focused faculties to promote scholarship, research, and other means of advancement of knowledge and its practical application to military hardware and software, as well as maritime arts, sciences, and technologies, and provide an opportunity of acquiring a higher and liberal education in Nigeria, and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and the bill is passed. A bill for an act to provide the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center Fufu, Kwara State, to provide for the manner of running the hospital, including establishment of board of management, chief medical director, and other staff, and to provide for discipline of staff, and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. A bill for an act to repeal the Veterinary Surgeons Act, CAV V3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Veterinary Surgeons Bill, and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. A bill for an act to establish the Satellite Towns Development Agency for providing, maintaining, regulating, and operating public infrastructure, economic and strategic development plans, and ancillary for the Federal Capital Territory and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and this bill is also passed. A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Ondo State, for training and research in the field of medical and health sciences in Nigeria, and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and this bill is also passed. Congratulations. Leader of the Senate. I think we have exhausted the order paper, and the idea is we should adjourn now as quickly as possible so that our committees will go ahead to finish their budget defense before the appropriations committee. So move for adjournment.
Okay, Mr. President, distinguished senators, having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Wednesday, 30th November 2022 at 10 a.m. I so move.
Yes.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this Senate now do adjourn to Wednesday, the 30th of November 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, just like I've said before, some of our colleagues, some of our committees need little time today, I think, to go before the Appropriations Committee to defend their budgets. So as soon as we close, I'm sure they will take the advantage, the opportunity. So those in favor of the motion moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader that this Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, 30th of November 2022 at 10 a.m. from say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 30th day of November 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. You may stay.